recall of drugs and food products that have contaminants. There is in this bill hefty fines for corporations that don't reveal problems, side effects with drugs. There's new emphasis in this bill around ensuring that government has the tools to protect Canadians. But beneath all of that, and I commend the government for those initiatives, and I support those aspects of the bill that take us forward towards what I consider fundamental to this whole debate, and that is a do no harm approach when it comes to food and drugs. But beneath those specific clauses, fine words of the press release that the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health presented to Canadians about safety first, beneath all of that, there are enough concerns to make me and others suspicious of what this government is all about and where, in fact, it is trying to lead us. And you only have to look at a couple of the areas that you've heard about to date, Mr. Speaker. I see some of my colleagues in the Conservative benches chuckling. Well, I don't think they should chuckle when they stop and listen to the words of Dr. Barbara Mincy's, who has brought to the attention of this House a clause in the bill which appears to, in fact, move us closer, move this government closer to direct-to-consumer advertising. That's so well documented, in fact, Mr. Speaker, that some of the officials have already said that they acknowledge that that is a problem and maybe has to be addressed. Now, Mr. Speaker, why is that important? Do we want to see another $6.3 billion added to our pharmacare bill in this country, Mr. Speaker? Do we want to see Big Pharma pushing their drugs without scientific basis on Canadians? Do we want to see full-blown advertising in this country, as is the case in the United States? Isn't it enough that we've got this grey area where drug companies can find a loophole and advertise all they want, the lifestyle and create the appearance of something helping this person without naming the drug? Look at the Viagra ads, Mr. Speaker. Pretty clear, pretty impressive, leading to all kinds of people demanding products from their doctors and prescriptions for certain drugs without necessarily basis in terms of either the condition or the science available. Mr. Speaker, direct-to-consumer advertising is just one of the problems in this bill that will make us very, very cautious about supporting it. And unless this loophole is closed, and unless there is a firm commitment from the government to absolutely close the door to direct-to-consumer advertising, which not only means where we are today, but going back and closing the door in terms of the loophole, there's no way in the world we should support this bill, because of the ramifications it will have for our entire healthcare system. A system where, in fact, costs for pharmaceuticals are now outstripping all other aspects of the system. Let me give you another example, Mr. Speaker. You've heard mentioned in the hall, in this chamber today, the words life cycle approach to drug surveillance or progressive licensing. All sounds great, doesn't it? Sounds innovative. It sounds progressive. But, Mr. Speaker, you have to realize that underneath it all, there could very well be an agenda to speed up the approval of drugs at the front end and create the illusion of safety at the other end, or even the reality of safety at the other end. But what does it matter when, in fact, you've already digested a drug that is not safe for you and has serious health consequences? Can it be that this government has listened to the drug companies when they say we would rather deal with expensive lawsuits and pay out big money after we've been sued than put in the money that's needed at the front end to ensure that the drugs are safe in the first place? Could that be, Mr. Speaker? I guess the real question you have to ask today is, as Alan Castles and others have asked in the media when the bill was released, would this bill prevent another Vioxx? Would it stop a situation with hundreds of thousands of people dying because they took this drug without realizing that there were serious side effects unrelated to the condition they were taking it for? What in this bill would stop that? Where is the inspection force? Where is the apparatus? Where is the infrastructure to make that happen? Where's the commitment from this government to deal with drugs coming into this country that may be contaminated? How will it handle another heparin, a contaminated drug from China? Is it prepared to send inspection officers to those manufacturers in China? Is it prepared to put surveillance officers at the border? Is it prepared to take serious the side effects the Canadians talk about? Is it prepared to act the minute there are serious reactions to drugs? Well, I hope that's the case. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if this bill does it. I'm going to keep an open mind about that. When we get to committee, I'm going to ask those questions. We're going to have witnesses who will testify. And we're going to seriously study that aspect because, Mr. Speaker, is the fundamental bottom line when it comes to this bill. Is it going to stop another Vioxx? That's the question. How will it do it? Will it do it in time? Will it really make drug companies provide the information that they may have held in secret, which may reveal something? Would it have demanded, would it have been able to get the information out of Merck Frost, kept secret, around Vioxx that would have prevented hundreds of thousands of deaths? Mr. Speaker, those are two areas of concern. There are others. I've now had hundreds of letters from people concerned about natural health products. Been inundated with letters and communications expressing concern about this bill and whether or not there is a hidden agenda here to, in fact, bring natural health products under the rubric of drugs. After the huge battle we've had in this House for a decade, a battle to in fact, have a separate category for natural health products. Something that these Conservatives took up with a vengeance some 10 years ago, which led to our Health Committee discussion and a report, which led to the establishment of a third category, which led to some reasonable approach to dealing with natural health products. Unfortunately, both Liberals and Conservatives since then have bought the whole plan. We now have hundreds of thousands of natural health products waiting in line to be assessed and licensed. Now, is this the question here? Is this a way to get around that? Is this an attempt, in fact, to deal with the backlog like we've seen with immigration? Perhaps it's similar to the budget implementation bill and slipping in immigration in that bill. Perhaps. We don't know, Mr. Speaker. Needless to say, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to this area, there's nothing more important than how we protect people in terms of the drugs and the medications they have to take and the food we have to eat. It is the job of government to put safety first, to ensure that products on the market are as safe as possible, and that means a proactive government with tough regulations, with adequate resources, with the work to in fact make safety fundamental and putting people before drug profits.
Questions and comments?